I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago! Oh my God! Kane with the overtime winner!
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6-6 Kane Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions!
So we only saw a little bit of the Lions' ability to score a touchdown last night. They did get one for what that's worth. Got some field goals as well, which was interesting. What do you take out of a preseason game in which the bulk of your starters don't play? It's a good question, and I think it's something that we'll talk about throughout the morning here on X's and Bros. Welcome on a Six-Pack Friday. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside, and we're glad you're with us as well. You can listen and phone in and text in and all that happy stuff if you want to, and you can also stream us live as we stream live on X, on Facebook, and on YouTube. But right now we're on throughout the state for sure, in Cadillac and Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. We're out in Midland and Saginaw and Bay City and Petoskey and Charlevoix and Traverse City and Lansing as well. The Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. The Lions losing in Cincinnati 16-14, which means absolutely nothing to anybody. Luke Altmaier did throw for 130 yards, a couple of picks, and a touchdown. One of the picks was not his fault. We will get to that as we move forward because there is some deep concerns, and I think it's fair. I mean, you're not overreacting that Isaac Tesla has had a bad camp and then a bad game. It's not an overreaction. You're not suggesting he's not going to make the 53-man roster. You're not suggesting that he's a bust. We're suggesting that the Lions are trading him. If you suggest any of those things, you are way, way too hyperbolic. But it's okay to say one of the key guys you thought coming into your season is struggling right now. So we'll get to that coming up. Jacob Saylors did not struggle. He boasted 83 total yards. He was really good. The player of the game. This would be a very interesting take from many because I think the overall belief is that it's number 99. It's a former draft pick out of Boise State. It's Ahmad Hassanin. 4 tackles, 2 sacks, including one against a first-teamer, I might add. A couple of quarterback hurries, a tackle for loss, a forced fumble. Hard to beat what he did.
Every time the defense was on the field, it felt like he was getting talked about. So,
yeah. I want to see players who force me to talk about.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He did it.
And he did. Yeah. I don't want to talk about Enos Rakestraw, who's getting burnt and then injured. That's the wrong way to talk about him. He forces me to talk about him like, can he make this team? He's hurt again. Dan Campbell says it's not serious, so that's good. You don't want to talk about a guy like Isaac Tesla, who's had a bad camp and had 2 drops, right? You don't want to talk about certain draft picks in the past. It's interesting how we look at certain players and what Brad Holmes has done, without getting too hyperbolic with Hassanin. He looked really good. But if you remember, Dominic Lovett was a draft pick, a late draft pick. But, I mean, how many drops did he have? 3? 3 drops and 1 catch. 1 catch was pretty good, but 3 drops. I mean, those are the things that get you bounced off a team. I like Miles Frazier, but he had 3 holding penalties. You're not winning starting spots by doing that. And he knows that, of course. Christian Mahogany had some penalties. Those are the way you don't play yourself off a team when you're in those positions, but you play yourself either out of a starting position or you play yourself into some type of deep-rooted battle and competition. And I'm all for competition. You know that. But you're, as a coach in these games and practices, when you already know that Penei Sewell is on the left, and you already know that Tate Radledge is playing at the right guard position, and you know these guys, certain guys are the battles, you want to see somebody take it, not give it away. You want to see somebody actually step forward and say, this is mine. So we'll talk Lions most of the morning. Tigers win the series. They're fourth in a row, by the way. They beat Cleveland 3-0. That's their 14th shutout of the year. That's the second most in the major leagues this year. Keter Montero was not great. He wasn't. But sometimes that reveals some things about a player. When a player doesn't have his best stuff and still is able to keep his team in a game and still get a win, his 9th of the year, that tells you something about the player. They dodged something yesterday. He got out of some jams, and he teamed with Tyler Holton and Kenley Jansen for a 4-hit shutout. They didn't record a strikeout, which is very strange. Spencer Torkelson had 2 hits and an RBI. Eduardo Valencia crushed his 5th homer. We will dive into a few impressive numbers for Torkelson coming up here. The division-leading White Sox are in town tonight. They're coming off a 9-8 loss to the Reds. They've lost 6 of their last 10. Their lead in the division is just 2.5 over Detroit. On top of that, Texas was blown out by the Angels 7-0. So Detroit is a half game ahead in the wild card, the third and final wild card spot. By the way, did you see Edwin Diaz blew another save?
Yeah, he's on my fantasy team, so.
Yeah. Third blown save in the last 4 opportunities.
I never missed
it. Dodgers are up 4-2 in the 9th to Milwaukee, and they lose 5-4 in the game.
Yeah,
it's
not great. He's not been good since he's come back.
No, we've said this about every team. I'm not sure about Tampa, and I'm not even sure about Milwaukee, but there's a lot of teams out there. I don't know if it's parity. I don't know if you consider it bad, that it's not a good league this year or what. But if you look at it, the Dodgers are going through a really rough time. Tampa at one point was swept by Boston, losing 4 straight. I mean, they've righted the ship because they won 9 in a row. But just the second half of the season, teams are going to go through slumps. I mean, it happens. You got to pull yourself out of it. And how long are you going to let it matriculate? That's the difference between the really good teams and the teams that are just so-so. Milwaukee in the second half, they were swept by San Diego. But if you want to consider a 3-game slide a slump, I don't know if that's necessarily fair to say. They did get blown out 11-2 in one of those games. So the bounce back against the Dodgers was much needed. Just wanted to remind you that, every team, most every team, is going through some type of slump at one point during the season. There's a 5-way tie atop the leaderboard at the St. Jude Classic. That's the first round of the FedEx playoffs. Jordan Spieth, who didn't finish in the top 10 in any tournament this year, shot a 565 along with Michael Thorbjornsen, Kurt Kitayama, Michael Kim, and Jake Knapp. 7 players are 1 shot back. Scotty Scheffler shot a 2 under. Scheffler has 17 consecutive rounds of the FedEx playoffs, dating back years, right, of under par golf. Not bad. It's an impressive way to get rolling here. Here's our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. We have one for you every single day. Will the Tigers be on top in the AL Central after the weekend? If they sweep Chicago, and the 2 teams have traded sweeps so far this year. Chicago won in a blowout 3-game series in Chicago earlier this year. Then Detroit corresponded with one of their own, and now it's a 3-game weekend set. Will they be on top in the AL Central after the weekend? They got to sweep them to do it. It's a yes or no question. Vote as often as you want. Andy's tweeted it out there. I have already tweeted it. If you want to know who the starters are, at least for Detroit, tonight it's going to be Jackson Jobe, and he's pretty pumped up for it. And on Saturday, I got to hit a break here. My apologies. On Saturday, Troy Melton. So you feel pretty good about the first 2. We're back with more here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth after a brief timeout. Stay with us.
In my pro football days, the key to winning was a great game plan. It's no different when it comes to your retirement. Hi, this is Mitch Lyons from Mitch Lyons Wealth. Is stock market turbulence making you question whether your plan is okay? Do the ups and downs of your retirement account give you the jitters? Are you protected against the next market downdraft? As you approach retirement, you're entering the retirement red zone. Like in football, the game changes in the red zone. There's less time for mistakes, and you need to see your blind spots and protect yourself. Is your retirement safe? Let's find out today. Let's create a game plan together that will protect, grow, and win retirement. You've worked hard to save what you have. Let's make sure you keep it. 30 to 40 years of saving for retirement is worth a 15-minute call to make sure you've done all that you can to protect your retirement. Call Mitch Lyons Wealth today at 844-867-8335. That's 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a state-registered investment advisor.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
These last few weeks, he's made a real conscious adjustment to move the ball forward, to, have quality at bats, to the ball in play has been better. There's going to be the punch out, and he's going to run into a homer here pretty soon. But there's so many at bats that the game leaves you that aren't impacted by a homer. And I think as he's dialed it back, maybe just a tick, he's been able to, get that double to left center, or get the single to left, or get the bullet to right he hit on the road trip. He's been integral for us as we've had a couple guys who are going through it. Now we've been hit with an injury in the middle of our order. Somebody's got to pick up the slack. And I think Torque has been day by day doing something right. And I applaud him for, simplifying things at a crucial time.
AJ Hinch on Spencer Torkelson, as you can surmise. Welcome back. X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. 7:35. We pick it up with Jim Miller and Todd Healy again. From yesterday, we let you listen into their breakdown of the Packers and the Bears. Today, it's the Vikings and the Lions in the NFC North. We will continue to do that throughout our show throughout the week. Next week, as we build our way up to the start of the National Football League season. Spencer Torkelson, it's pretty interesting about him because I think people have made up their minds on him. And I think it's a hard thing for him to win people over. He's not going to make you forget Kevin McGonigal. And Max Clark has brought this team some energy too. But if you're being honest with yourself, you do have to give Torkelson a lot of credit for what he's done recently. The whole moving the ball forward is just one of those AJ Hinch catchphrases. They're just like, okay, whatever. And he's putting the ball in play. It's not an empty at bat, but over the last 15 games, he's collected 23 hits and 13 RBIs. And that's helped Detroit get 10 wins out of 13 games. Okay. He is the first Tigers player to reach those numbers over any 15-game stretch since Miguel Cabrera did it in 2016 from the end of July to the middle of August.
It's impressive. And I think what he said about, having to pick up the slack too. It's like Riley Green gets hurt right now. Dylan Dingler is not playing great baseball right now. When a couple of your guys you've been relying on all season have been playing well, it's been pretty important that he's been doing what he's doing offensively.
Yeah, Dingler 0 for 4 yesterday. So that means he's 1 for his last 27. And I think what people like to debate here is where you put certain players in the order. How much has Riley Green helped Dylan Dingler this year that maybe we haven't necessarily recognized? If a guy's hitting the ball well, do you move him up in the order, or do you keep him in that specific part of the order because he is hitting the ball well and he is getting in certain situations that have benefited him? Those are really good discussions. Torkelson, since July 26th, Andy, 379 batting average, 441 on base percentage, and a 483 slug. His OPS 924. You will take that every day of the week.
That's what people want to see from him for sure.
The other knock on him has been how he hits with runners in scoring position.
Absolutely.
And since that time, since July 26th, may not be a long or a big sample size for you. That's fine. But you still got to give him some credit. Hitting 444 with runners in scoring position, with a 478 on base, a 722 slug, which is unreal, and an OPS of 1,200. That makes your eyebrows rise a little bit.
It's for him to be having those kind of numbers or putting him up at any point. That's what people have been waiting for a long time, and of any stretch. Not that he's doing it consistently, over a whole season or anything like that yet, but it's good. Just good.
But
I
don't know anybody outside of probably since Barry Bonds who's putting those numbers up consistently. That's just not realistic. If that's what you're expecting, you're going to be really disappointed. Here's the difference, and I'm not saying he's been the difference in their recent surge. He's part of it. He's not the reason. When you get guys on base, McGonigal with a high on-base percentage, Torres with a high on-base percentage, Dingler with a high on-base percentage, you need someone to drive them in. And if you don't have that person, you're just leaving proverbial ducks on the pond. this dude has been able to step forward and deliver what they need. Now, somebody sent us a text and loves how Torkelson is going to all fields. It's not that he never went to right, but it seems like he's not trying to pull everything, and it sure seems like he's not trying to hit everything over the wall, which I think is
absolutely.
Really good.
It definitely seems like there's a difference in his swing.
But the text says he keeps going like that, you can push him up to the 4th spot, which is interesting because most of his at-bats this year have come in the number 5 hole. When he's batting 5th, I've always gotten caught up in it. I don't know how people feel about this, and it would be an interesting little social experiment. You feel like in the past, your leadoff man had to be your fastest guy. Your second batter had to be your best bat control guy. Your third batter had to have your, a high average, and your fourth batter had to be, your power number guy. Fifth would be your second most power number guy. And then you kind of wean its way down all the way to number 9, which would be your second best leadoff guy or whatever, however people feel about that. I don't know if that's how it is anymore. As a matter of fact, I don't think it is that way anymore. And the reason I say that is because you want as many at-bats as possible for your best hitters. Aaron Judge doesn't hit 4th in the Yankees lineup. I believe he hits 2nd when he's healthy. So Spencer Torkelson is an interesting experiment here. He has made 40 starts in the number 5 hole, only 7 in the number 4 hole. In his 40 starts hitting 5th, he's batting .231 with 7 bombs. While hitting 4th, he's batting .130 with a .233 on base percentage. I don't know if it's because of where he's hitting. It could completely change now that he seems to be a little bit more locked in. How much of where you hit in the order matters to the player? I think it matters if you're at the top of the order. Don't think it matters as much down near the bottom. At least that's what I've gained from players in the past. If you look in your career, in his career, he has more homers in the cleanup spot than any other spot in the order. But he has started more games in the number 5 hole than in any other spot in the roster.
Wow, I didn't think that's how that was going to add up based on the way you said that. I thought for sure if he's hit more homers in the 4 hole, you'd have more at bats there, and that'd be the reason.
Nope.
But wow, that's impressive.
172 games started in the number 5 spot with 20 home runs and a .230 batting average, whereas batting cleanup, he's hitting .240 with 26 home runs. Sometimes, especially in baseball, those are just numbers. I'm not sure how that adds up or what we want to dissect about it. All I care about, him batting between 4 and 6 sure seems like the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Where AJ Hinch wants to put him depends on who's pitching and depends on who's healthy. I want Kevin McGonigal and Gleyber Torres and Riley Green to get the majority of the at-bats in the game. And then I want Dylan Dingler. If that means those guys in some way, shape, or form are going to be batting 1 through 4, however you want to mix them up, I'm fine with that. Just because Spencer Torkelson's has a nice run since July 26th doesn't mean automatically I move him up in the order. Because what it also means is that somebody would have to be struggling to move them down. How quickly do you have to react to that? And how much, would you replace Dylan Dingler's at-bats with Spencer Torkelson's? I wouldn't. I know Dingler's in a rough go of it right now, and Spencer Torkelson's playing really well. But I wouldn't do that just yet. I would have to give it a little bit more time. And I think that's what the texter's saying as well. All right, on the other side, thoughts on the Lions. Phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Text line is Sports Radio 21,000. Always open lines for you. Anything you want to discuss, we're here for you on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements, this center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church. All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand. Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride. August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Put your faves on repeat with new Meijer Subscribe. It's easy to add subscriptions with your Meijer home delivery or pickup order. From fridge and pantry to pets and paper towels, big, small, or in between. Subscribe to Purina, Pampers, and all your favorite brands. We'll shop as often as you like when you like. Just press set up a subscription while shopping and choose a frequency. We'll take care of the rest. New Meijer Subscribe keeps you supplied with what you need when you need it. Download the Meijer app to start a subscription with your home delivery or pickup order today.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
I can do this, and I want to prove it. I want to prove it to everybody, and I want to have the opportunity to provide for my family. It's just, there's no better feeling than playing for this team, because, man, this team means so much to me. I love the Detroit Lions, man. I love Coach Campbell. I even told him I loved him before the game, and he said, I love you, and it was amazing, man, just to have that kind of relationship, and, it's not just a job, but I'm having so much fun doing it as well, and there's so much joy with this team, and, man, I'm happy to play with the teammates that I have.
Wow. That's pretty emotional stuff, and it's really good stuff. Welcome back. That is Ahmad Hassanin, a former draft pick of the Lions back during the Tyleek Williams draft, right? It was last year's draft.
Yeah, when he says I love Dan Campbell and he loves me, I can just picture Dan like, I love you, man. It's just awesome.
It is. It does make you, as a fan, it makes you like him, doesn't it?
Yeah, no question about it. Yeah.
I think it'd be challenging to be likable, and I think he is very, very likable, and that's going to help him move forward. He's got to produce, but he has, I think, thrust himself. I know it's only one game, but you have to understand it's also his preseason debut against the ones. This is not him playing, mop-up duty that forces you and I to go, but who is he really playing against? But his first sack on Joe Burrow on the very first series was against the starting left tackle. By the way, really cool story for Cincy, by the way. I don't know if you recognized the name last night of Dante Myers. He had 4 targets from Joe Burrow, 3 catches, led the Bengals in receiving. Joe Burrow told a story about how Myers, he texted Myers and said, "Hey, are you in town?" And Myers said, "I can be." And Burrow texted back, "Okay, be here at 11 to throw." They were going to throw and catch. Come to find out that Myers drove from Atlanta that very night to be there the next day.
Wow.
From Atlanta to Cincinnati.
So
impressive. He dropped what he was doing. He's like, "Hey, Joe Burrow wants to throw with me. I've got to go."
You're probably saying yes to that a lot of the time.
Here's the unique thing about him. All right. And we're going to dive into Lions too, but sometimes there are some stories that you just got to share. He went to Delta State. What? Delta State. Who? Delta State. All right. Have you ever heard of Delta State?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. It's not like it's this powerhouse. All right. It's down in Mississippi. It's in Cleveland, Mississippi, down along the Mississippi Delta. All right. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what conference they play in. All right. But I just know where it is. Anyway, he drives from Atlanta to catch footballs with Joe Burrow. And then yesterday, pretty good game for him, right? You talk about a really cool story. He was a guy who was a 0-star recruit, obviously, Delta College, Delta State. He was a door dasher. This has got like Kurt Warner type feel written all over it. He was a door dasher, got an opportunity to play in the Canadian Football League on an open tryout, I might add. And then gets an invite to play as an undrafted free agent or a free agent in Cincinnati camp. And last night he played, and last night he was arguably their best receiver. No one's going to forget Jamar Chase or T. Higgins and start talking about Dante Myers. But it's just a cool story. That's all.
Yeah, it is for sure. And I mean, other teams, you never know. They're always watching too. So if it wasn't with the Bengals, who knows?
Yeah, you absolutely never know. That's what makes it pretty cool about Ahmad Hassanin, because not that he was an undrafted free agent, because he was drafted, but just nobody really knew who he was, right? You had to scramble your way to find out more information on Hassanin. Via text, and we want to get to your impressions of the Lions from last night via text. Let's see here. Shep, the amount of penalties this team still continues to take is astonishing by a Dan Campbell-led team. And the let Brad Cook fan base, who thinks he outsmarts every GM with his steals, in quotes, late in drafts, you as a fan base may want to revisit those picks. Okay. So a couple of things there. Obviously not a Brad Holmes fan. All right. I get it. I agree with you on the penalties. It's a little surprising to me. Cincinnati had one more penalty than Detroit, but that doesn't matter. Detroit had 9 penalties. That's inexcusable. How much of that, though, is the fact that most of those guys are not starters and it's the first preseason game? I think you're going to find a lot of that throughout the NFL if you are watching this weekend or if you were watching yesterday. So the Steelers played the Packers. Packers actually started Jordan Love, which surprised me a little bit. But those two teams played, and the Steelers won. Guess what? Green Bay had 9 penalties. Pittsburgh had 11. And I know, again, you're not focused on Green Bay or Pittsburgh. You don't care about what the Steelers do. You kind of care about what the Packers do just because, they're in the division. All right. All I'm telling you is I'm comparing other teams in their preseason opener to the Lions, that this is going to happen because it's an ugly situation with the first preseason game. Okay. So, I mean, look at Las Vegas and Arizona last night. It was billed as, Mendoza against Beck again, and Beck didn't play. And Mendoza supposedly looked really good. They didn't have many penalties at all. Arizona had 4. Las Vegas had 8. How many's enough for you? How many's too much for you? I agree. 9 is ridiculous. I think you're looking more at what they've done over the years with Dan Campbell, not as much with just the preseason game. I don't think you're being selective there at all. So I do think it's a little concerning for me. Sure. I think it'd be ridiculous if you weren't a little concerned. Those are the things, those are drive killers, and that's what takes you out of games. Okay. When you look at the best teams, I think generally, usually what we look at is, are you disciplined enough? And Dan Campbell always used, at least from the outside, this is what we looked at. They're a disciplined team. What was it, Andy? I don't know if you're aware of it. What was it a year ago in terms of penalties for the Lions? How many penalties
were they ranked in penalties taken?
How many penalties against? I think Dallas had the most penalties in football. Detroit was not among those leaders in that category. I don't believe. I'm looking at a website right now. They had 104 penalties a year ago. The league leader, Dallas, penalties against 133. So if you look at total flags, Dallas 163. In other words, those that were, I assume, total flags, some are accepted and some aren't. So put that in perspective, 163, Detroit at 130. How much does that matter? Detroit was in the lower third of the National Football League in that category. As far as Brad Holmes is concerned and the slate on his late steals, I think we've gone over this. I think a lot of people have gone over this on what he's been able to do as a general manager. If you have a 50% success rate in the NFL draft, if you have 8 draft picks and 4 of them make your team and are key contributors, do you think that's a good thing?
Sounds like a win. It sounds like a win to me. I mean, how can you think that? Yeah,
it's a major win, unless you're striking out on your first and second rounders constantly. As first rounders, that's not the case. But the verbiage used in the text was his steals. So, for example, Sewell, Aleem McNeil, St. Brown, and who was the other one in that draft? Barnes, Derek Barnes. All right. Those are 4 of the 8 draft picks in his first draft. Those are pretty good picks. Sewell's the best tackle. That's a first rounder. Okay. People have missed on first rounders, but you can't. McNeil, now that he's healthy, he's going to be a force. St. Brown's one of the best at his position, and Derek Barnes is going to be a starter. So you feel good about that. Then it's Hutchinson, it's J-Mo, it's Joseph. And who's the other one that I'm thinking in that draft? There's one more. It's Hutchinson. Let me look that up real quick. J-Mo, Kirby Joseph. Malcolm Rodriguez, right? Now, you may not think that's great was he a 6th-round draft pick, Malcolm Rodriguez? He's a special teams guy. He's playing special teams and some important snaps. I don't need him to play a ton as a 6th-round draft pick. I think that's a good draft. The following year, Gibbs, of course, okay? Laporta, of course. You've got Branch, and you've got Campbell.
It's a great draft.
Knocked it out of the park.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Now, you missed on Hendon Hooker. You missed on Broderick Martin. Those are 2 third-round picks.
Yep. Higher up.
So that hurts, but you're still 4 for 8. It's the following draft that many people will point to where he was in his slump, if you will. Terrion Arnold, who just signed with Seattle, which, again, goes to show you, like, I love the National Football League, and I love football in general, all right? So don't take this the wrong way. They don't give a rat's tail about character.
Yep.
This dude is up on charges of kidnapping and then some, all right? Intimidation or whatever else it is. It's not attempted murder, but, it's pretty deep stuff. And the Seahawks are, hey, this guy can help us.
Yeah, bring him on in. Why not?
That's all that matters. It's all that matters.
Why would we not bring this guy in?
Yeah. So Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, got hurt again last night. It's getting old. Andy and I were texting back and forth. Oh, that sucks. The shoulder injury. How about tackling properly? Whatever happened to having a base, lowering your shoulder, and driving with the legs? I'm sorry, that's old school. You're thinking Jack Lambert stuff. Oh, my bad. Meanwhile, these guys come in. Let me just throw a shoulder at you, okay? No wrap up. Let me just hit you with a shoulder.
I feel like I've been saying that for years.
They can't teach that, man.
It's
if
crazy.
they teach that at Missouri, if they're teaching that with the Lions, fire the damn coach. It's ridiculous. And then you got Giovanni Manu, no show, probably won't make the team. Sione Vaki, who's now in trouble because of what we witnessed last night. He's not playing, right? This is where you miss opportunities. He's not playing. What happens? Well, Jacob Sailors comes in. He lights it up. Suddenly, he leapfrogs you. Anyway, and you got Christian Mahogany as a 6th-round pick. And Christian Mahogany might start at left guard. I know how you feel about him from a year ago. Then you've got Tyleek Williams, Tate Ratledge, Isaac Tesla, Miles Frazier, Hassanin. 5 out of the 7 draft picks that year are contributors to this team. And then, of course, this year you can't necessarily judge because you've barely seen Blake Miller. Derek Moore's been hurt. Jimmy Rolder's been hurt. Keith Abney did recover a fumble last night.
Had 5 tackles, too. Thought he looked pretty good at times.
Pretty good. Skylar Gill Howard and Tyree West. Who knows if they make it? So who are the steals? Well, the steals, some would argue. We don't know about Keith Abney yet, but that's all we heard. All right. Hassanin could be a steal. Yes.
I mean, yeah, if he turns out to be a player that contributes, for sure.
Absolutely. There's no question that St. Brown was a steal in the 4th round. Right? Branch fell further. How did nobody take Brian Branch? So I don't know, man. I think he's done a very good job in drafting. He's had one bad year. I get it.
Yeah, but that's not a reason to give up on a GM. One bad year out of all the years that he's gotten productive.
No, I'm not, and I don't think the texter is saying that. I think the texter is saying he gets so much love for what he's been able to do late in the rounds. And they're tired of hearing about it.
That's fair.
Winning, it is fair. Winning cures all. Win games, win divisions, get to a Super Bowl, and nobody will say a damn thing. You'll change a lot of people's opinion when you do that. Now, it's going to be difficult because this division's very good. Is it the best? That remains to be seen. The NFC West is pretty damn good, all right? And you got the Rams, you got the Niners, and you've got the Seahawks, the defending champions, pretty damn good. The AFC West is pretty good too. Kansas City expected to bounce back. The Chargers there, of course. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to be any good, but, I mean, you got at least 3 teams in that division that I think are going to be very strong and going to scare some people. If Denver can do anything close to what they did a year ago, we'll see what happens with that. But it's a tough division, as we all know. It's okay to expect a Super Bowl. I said this on the Huge Show yesterday because he brought me on in the 5 o'clock hour. It's okay to have high expectations for your team as long as they're legitimate. I did not expect 60 wins from the Pistons a year ago. Did you? No. But when you got 60 wins, you thought they should come out of the East. You thought they were better than New York. Why wouldn't you? I mean, look what they did. They beat them by 30 points in every game during the regular season, right? They were the 1 seed, right? So it's okay to think that. It's all right to feel that way about the Lions if they can stay healthy. If they lose Jared Goff, you got to lesser your expectations. If they lose Amon-Ra St. Brown, if they lose Penei Sewell, if they lose Aiden Hutchinson, it's okay to go, well, I think they can still win some games, but they're not as much of a favorite in my mind as they were before. It's not on the Lions. Those things happen. It happens with a lot of teams. Can you overcome that? That's the big question. Anyway, what was your impression last night? Who stood out to you? The Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. I think when you looked at what this team did last night, and I don't even look at the final score. Who gives a crap about that, right? Luke Altmaier, doesn't make me go, hey, I think we're okay. I actually thought Josh Gibbs was pretty good. Okay. I mentioned Jacob Sailors. Thought he was very good. Thought he ran hard. He's not going to make you forget Jahmyr Gibbs, but I thought he ran really hard, and he sure looks like he belongs. I would say the same thing about Hassanin. Okay. The sack fumble on Josh Johnson was impressive, but the most impressive one was the sack on Joe Burrow. I was really, really, really disappointed in 2 players. Miles Frazier, who I texted Andy on the first drive, said he and Blake Miller look really good. I don't know who you were watching. I was watching specifically the right side. Frazier at right guard, Miller at right tackle. That's where my eyes were.
Oh, yeah, he had to.
Okay, because I think, obviously Miller should be a starter, and Frazier could contend for the left guard starting spot. Not if you're committing 3 penalties. Not if you get penalized on a 3rd down and 19 and your team gets it thanks to a connection to Tom Kennedy, who continues to impress every time he plays. I don't know if he's going to make this team. Probably not. But damn, that dude just makes plays. He doesn't drop footballs. He's just a solid football player. So I was disappointed in Frazier, and I was really disappointed in Isaac Tesla. To have 2 go right, he should have hauled in the first down play, and then, of course, the interception went right through his hands, too. Not good. Has to be better. Your thoughts on what you've witnessed from the Lions last night? We take your phone calls, we take your texts, and we take what you choose to tell us in the chat here on X's and Bros on a 6-Pack Friday.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
September 11th at Soaring Eagle, a hot night of soul.
Somebody sexy, tell them hey.
3-time Grammy winner Nino and the Princess of Hip Hop, Keisha Cole. Tickets start at $53 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com.
Music that takes you there. Neo and Keisha, September 11th, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series.
Huge cheer for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lions season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contest or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks, or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
Get a jump on back-to-school shopping with hot deals on Meijer brand must-haves. Stock up on school supplies. More than 40 items for $1 or less. Like Meijer 70-sheet notebooks, glue sticks, 2-pocket folders, and 10-count washable markers. Plus, save on breakfast favorites like select varieties of Meijer toaster pastries, pancake mix, and syrup. All just $1.79 each. Good life quality and real low prices. Only at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See the Meijer app for details.
Okay, back with you. Second hour here on X's and Bros. Thanks for being with us. Always appreciate it, as does Andy McDonald here on a Six-Pack Friday. The Six-Pack comes your way at 8:18. 7:35, Todd Haley, former head coach in the National Football League. Jim Miller, 6-year veteran. We'll talk about the Lions and the Vikings and their view of their training camp. These guys went around to every training camp in the National Football League. And they've got yesterday they gave us their impressions of the Bears and the Packers. Today we finish up the NFC North with the Vikings and the Lions. Shep, via text. Shep, we have our Dante Myers. It's Tom Kennedy. Why he can't be on this team as the fourth or fifth guy, and also special teams. That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know what he needs to do to prove things. He's never going to win the fastest man race. He's never going to be the guy who hauls in 1,000 yards of receiving. But he sure looks like a football player, but he always has, to me. I don't do it for the story. I do it for the production and the ability. And I'll be damned if you're going to find a guy who has been as reliable, considering his role. All right. How much more would he be able to perform if he was, in the lineup on a regular basis? I mean, he had one catch. Let's be real here. He had one catch for 5 yards. Now, one also was taken away. He just looks like a football player who can give you something. He's better than Lovett. He's better than Tariq Black, but he always gets left out. Shep, Frazier and Mahogany aren't considered possible starters? ? I thought they were in the mix to win a job at left guard. Did I say they weren't, Andy?
I didn't hear you say they weren't, but
yeah, absolutely they are. But they are also late draft picks. We were referring to those who said the late draft steals from Brad Holmes. It just supports our argument that much more. If you've got guys who were drafted that late, a 5th and a 6th round draft pick, and they're being considered as starters, that's a pretty good deal, don't you think?
I think so.
I do. Starters on an offense or a defense. Malcolm Rodriguez is a 6th round draft pick. Can be a starter on special teams. Sione Vaki can be a starter on special teams, and you still get good value. If I'm picking first and I'm picking second, and I'm picking third, I want those guys in my lineup anyway to be starters. That's why Broderick Martin hurts. That's why Enos Rakestraw, for example, hurts. That's why if it doesn't work out for one of the recent drafts, like draft picks like Tyleik Williams or Tate Ratledge, that would hurt. Isaac Tesla, you moved some heaven and earth to get him in the 3rd round. He better work out for you, right? Shep, Holmes traded up for Broderick Martin, Sione Vaki, Levi Onwuzurike, Giovanni Manu. The defensive end from Kentucky. I think you're thinking of Josh Paschal there. So basically, the ones traded up for are getting cut. That's a concern. It should be a concern.
Yeah, that's where if you're going to have a beef with Brad Holmes, it's probably the area you would go, I would think.
It's not as much the drafting, it's the overvaluing by trading up to take certain players, right? I mean, he traded up to take other players who are really good that wasn't indicated in that text. But he's right, or she's right, who's ever texting, that when you're trading up for Broderick Martin and he's getting hurt all the time and he's not going to play for you, that's an issue. If you trade up for Isaac Tesla, you better make sure he's the real deal. And he was last year, so I'll judge him on last year more so than I will one preseason game. But in camp and that preseason game, he has not been very good. Andy, you got more texts. Fire away.
Yeah, I got Brian in Allendale. He says, hey, Shep, little different topic, but going back to baseball. He says, I don't know if you've seen the recent statistic going around on Cal Raleigh, but he hit 60 home runs in 2025. And this year he has 51 hits total in 2026. Have you ever seen a bigger drop off from a player?
Never. Never. I can't think of one.
I can't think of one either. And I actually was just talking about this last night with a couple of my friends at Golf League. I was like, I seriously don't think I've ever seen a player have a drop off like this in my time watching baseball.
And he quite honestly has admitted that. He said, I've been awful. Now, no kidding, right? Don't tell me something I didn't know. Could I bring up a guy I'm really high on? Paul Skeens?
Yeah, that's an interesting one too.
So Paul Skeens last year had 32 starts, threw 100 and close to 190 innings, gave up 11 homers, struck out 216. All right. And he walked 42. He had a 1.970 ERA. It's not as stark as what is happening to Cal Raleigh. But Paul Skeens this year has thrown 134 innings. He's given up 114 hits, 14 bombs, struck out 166, walked almost as many this year in 25 starts as he did all of last year in 32. And his ERA is close to 4.
Well, people have been talking about his velocity taking a dip. I feel like, too, I've been seeing a lot. Did you see that post out there from that? I think it was like a scout in 2023 talking about how he has like the flat arm problem, and he basically called it back then. I think that was pretty nuts to see. I don't know if it's what is causing it, but it still is really interesting because he said like this is going to be a problem for him, and that was 3 years ago. So.
Yeah, I mean the thing in baseball, if they did say it 3 years ago, that's interesting. I mean, it's funny they weren't there last year,
right?
I didn't see them there the last 2 years. They're pretty quiet. You know, the mice in the corner only come out when there's a lot of cheese, right? How about Kyle Tucker? Everybody's diagnosing him. Look at his numbers. The swing speed is way down for Kyle Tucker. Gunnar Henderson had an 8 WAR in 2024. This year his WAR is 2. How are those numbers grabbing you at all? Huh? That's just today's players. There could be more that I don't know, man, that in the past that I just can't come up with right now. But the guys who are playing today, those are some of the names.
I mean, 60 home runs to 51 hits at this point in the season. It's just as astounding number.
And a big contract. How do you explain it?
I don't know.
That's
I've been trying to figure out.
Like, it's easy to sit there and go, this is one of the worst slumps I've ever seen. My question, and at one point he was 0 for 36. My question would be, how in the world does it happen? What is he doing now that is so much different than he did a year ago?
Yeah.
Right?
You'd think he'd run it if he hit 60 home runs. You'd think he'd run into 25, 30 at the very least this year. But
if you think, well, and I don't even look at the homers. It's fair because of all the homers he hit a year ago.
Yeah.
Right. But the OPS has dropped like 300 points.
It's crazy.
Okay. His strikeout rate is up to 32%, which is the 7th highest in baseball. It's amazing how he can't catch up to fastballs this year, but he did last year as an MVP candidate, and I would have argued that he should have been an MVP. That was my take on it a year ago.
Yeah, I thought so too. He was my pick as well.
If you're wondering why the Mariners are having such an issue, it is Rodriguez in center, although he's been pretty good as of late, and it's obviously the big dumper taking a massive dump. So all of it fair. Really good text. Thank you for joining us and texting us that. Our phone number on the Meijer hotline, 866-838-4843. But I do think it's worth bringing up Skeens, Tucker, Gunnar Henderson. There's other examples, but those guys, because of their names and because what's expected. I mean, remember, Gunnar Henderson was in the middle of it when Baltimore won 101 games. And now people are talking about, shipping them off. How far did Adley Rutschman fall in a couple of years? So much so that he was traded within the division. We're back after this on X's and Bros.
The good life isn't about more. It's about making what you have work better. You work hard for your money, so you shouldn't have to work hard to save it. At Meijer, you'll find all the good stuff in one stop with guaranteed fresh produce and Meijer brand faves. Quality so good, we put our name on it. And with M-Perks, you earn rewards to save on what you actually buy. Trust it's worth bringing home. And live a life you love. Good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meijer.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church.
All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand.
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride, August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
Put your faves on repeat with new Meijer Subscribe. It's easy to add subscriptions with your Meijer home delivery or pickup order. From fridge and pantry to pets and paper towels, big, small, or in between. Subscribe to Purina, Pampers, and all your favorite brands. We'll shop as often as you like when you like. Just press set up a subscription while shopping and choose a frequency. We'll take care of the rest. New Meijer Subscribe keeps you supplied with what you need when you need it. Download the Meijer app to start a subscription with your home delivery or pickup order today.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
This is a new soundbite or a new music bed.
I think all of them are the same color in the playlist, and I'm pretty sure whoever played it a couple Fridays ago for me had this one in here, so I just didn't notice it. But I do like it.
It's got a groove, man.
So.
It's got a groove. There's no question about that. Welcome back, X's and
Love some
BrO's,
Shaggy.
Monday through Friday, 6 till 9. Okay, if you say so. There's a lot of interesting storylines. I don't know how much you care about what's going on in Cleveland between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. What a choice, right? Ooh, man, good luck with that. This is where you should feel pretty damn good, about what's going on with your team. With your team, though, I will say this: when you have a guy like Jared Goff, who obviously didn't play last night, shouldn't have played last night. We'll get, I would guess, a few snaps, a few series in week 2 coming up. We oftentimes, I read this Dan Orlovsky article yesterday. Do you read it by chance on ESPN.com?
I didn't see that.
Okay. So this is a long buildup, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. He ranked the quarterbacks by 7 different traits. Okay. Arm strength, ball placement, mechanics, which he would know over us, decision-making, pocket presence, second reaction, and rushing ability. Those are the 7 traits. All right? Which quarterback in the NFL checked the most boxes? Of those 7 categories, which quarterback in the National Football League, there's only one, checked the most boxes?
Matthew Stafford?
No. Lamar Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
He appeared in the top 10 of each of those 7 categories. Josh Allen was second with 6 appearances of the 7. Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Dak Prescott all were in 5 of his top 10 in those 7 categories. Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes were in 4. Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert, Brock Purdy, Jaden Daniels were in 3. Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Bo Nix, and Jalen Hurts were in 2 of the 7 categories that he outlined. And then appearing only once was Daniel Jones, C.J. Stroud, and Trevor Lawrence. Okay? Which ones of those 7 do you think Jared Goff was part of? I'll give them to you again. Arm strength, ball placement, mechanics, decision-making, pocket presence, second reaction, and rushing ability, which we all know he is not part of.
He's definitely not part of the last one.
Yeah.
I would definitely say the ball placement. That was one, right?
Ball placement is correct. He is ranked 5th behind Stafford, May, Darnold, and Burrow. Okay.
Decision making?
No.
Ooh, that surprises me. I think he's had pretty good numbers with that over the last 4 years, but I guess not somehow.
I think most people would say it's not pocket presence and it's not rushing ability.
Yeah, no, pocket
so
presence.
You're
I
down
definitely
to,
didn't think he was in.
You're down to second reaction ability, or you're down to the mechanics.
Mechanics.
Yes, he's 4th in mechanics.
Yeah.
Dan Orlovsky ranks Stafford number 1.
But he was in 4th.
Not a surprise. He's a good friend.
Yeah.
Burrow, Daniel Jones, and then Jared Goff. Okay? So for what that's worth, and I actually texted Dan Orlovsky last night, and I said, we weren't able to get you on the show last year. I'm hoping we can do that this year.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We're working on that and trying to get that done. Speaking of Jared Goff, Pete Prisco of CBS Sports recently was talking about the Lions and their ability, projecting what may happen with them. And the topic of Detroit's quarterback came up. Because let's face it, there's a lot of people who feel like the Lions have not done their organization justice by grabbing a quarterback. And I understand that belief. Luke Altmaier signing as an undrafted free agent doesn't matter. They tried with Hendon Hooker as a third-round pick. It didn't work. So how high is too high? What are your needs? If you take one in the 6th round and you go, wait a minute, what the hell? We needed more depth in this area. You're ticking somebody off because you can always go out and maybe sign a Josh Gibbs. Who knows? Josh Dobbs, excuse me. So anyway, here's what Pete Prisco had to say about Jared Goff and being underappreciated. Go ahead.
Remember when they lost the championship game to the 49ers? And
Yes.
do you remember what Dan Campbell said? He said, we might never be in this situation again. Correct. Because the window was open. As the window closed, that's the legitimate question to ask about the Detroit Lions.
You're supposed to be hyping them up.
And I'm gonna hype them because I'm gonna hype them in one way only. I'm gonna hype them the way you did, the offense. I think Jared Goff is the most underappreciated quarterback in this league. The guy just puts up numbers, rolls on. Ever since he got to Detroit, he's been a guy that puts up big numbers. Yeah. They're going to score points. I am a little concerned about the offensive line, but I think Penei Sewell moving the left tackle, the center's out now.
I think Cade Mays being out
that's big. I mean, and you got a rookie right tackle, so there are some concerns there. My biggest concern of defense, if they can get that defense to rush the passer, to go with Hutchinson, somebody step up and rush the passer. If they do that, the Lions are going to score points and they're going to be in the mix for that division.
Do you agree with his assessment that Jared Goff is the most underrated quarterback in the league?
Well, I think he said underappreciated.
Or underappreciated.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Which is kind of the same thing, but I hear what you're saying. Let's be specific. Underappreciated. First of all, I don't think he's underappreciated in Detroit.
No, not here. I do think he's somewhat underappreciated around the NFL. Like I could see that. I don't think people give him the credit he deserves sometimes.
Who else would be in that conversation?
That doesn't get a lot of credit?
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, probably.
I would say Sam Darnold.
That's totally fair.
Smaller sample size. Sam Darnold has won 14 games in back-to-back years. The only other quarterback in history to do that was Tom Brady.
That's extremely impressive.
Okay. He did it with 2 different teams. And he was, last year everybody focused on Seattle's defense and Kenneth Walker and Jackson Smith and Jigba. There was a guy delivering the football to him, and his name was Sam Darnold, who threw for 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. Now, that doesn't mean I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I'm talking, the word used was underappreciated. And I think everybody, when I think of underappreciated, I don't know how you define it. I look at it this way. When you're talking about a player or when you're talking about a team, you're talking about everybody before that key player. Well, maybe not everybody, but most everybody. When you talk about the Detroit Lions, what do you talk about? I mean, Pete Prisco just said it from CBS Sports. What did he say? Their offense. Well, that's what everybody says about the Lions because of how good it was a year ago and how good it's been over the last 3 to 4 years. If all you're doing is talking about their offense, don't you immediately go right to the quarterback? I don't think he's underappreciated at all. He's viewed as a top 10 quarterback. He's viewed as a guy who leads one of the best offenses in all of football. How is that being underappreciated?
Does everybody consider him a top 10 quarterback, though? I mean, that's like...
Oh, I think so. I mean, you and I have had this conversation throughout the summer, the various rankings, if you will.
A lot of people do, for sure. There's no question about that.
I think most, if not all the rankings that we used as reference had him in the top 10. Not top 5, but I said top 10.
Yeah, I mean that's
there
totally
might be
fair.
one that had him, I think 11 or 12, but most of them are top 10. Okay, when we come back, speaking of top 10, 2 top 10 guys, Jim Miller, Todd Haley. They know a lot of football. Yesterday, they gave us an idea of what the Bears and the Packers will look like this year. They finish up the NFC North by telling us about the Vikings and the Lions. That comes your way next here on X's and Bros on the second hour of our program on a Six-Pack Friday brought to you by Meijer.
In my pro football days, the key to winning was a great game plan. It's no different when it comes to your retirement. Hi, this is Mitch Lyons from Mitch Lyons Wealth. Is stock market turbulence making you question whether your plan is okay? Do the ups and downs of your retirement account give you the jitters? Are you protected against the next market downdraft? As you approach retirement, you're entering the retirement red zone. Like in football, the game changes in the red zone. There's less time for mistakes, and you need to see your blind spots and protect yourself. Is your retirement safe? Let's find out today. Let's create a game plan together that will protect, grow, and win retirement. You've worked hard to save what you have. Let's make sure you keep it. 30 to 40 years of saving for retirement is worth a 15-minute call to make sure you've done all that you can to protect your retirement. Call Mitch Lyons Wealth today at 844-867-8335. That's 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a state-registered investment advisor.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
Get ready for the hottest Saturdays of the summer at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Now through August, we're dropping over $1 million in free play. Every hour from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 10 winners score $600 in free play. $1 Million Summer is back, so don't miss your shot at big summer wins. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
35 after the hour. Welcome back on a six-pack Friday. Thanks for being with us here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. And always appreciate the great radio stations that are part of the Michigan Sports Network. WMAX, 96.1 FM The Game. In Grand Rapids, it also serves Kalamazoo and Holland, such a beautiful area there. Cadillac, WKAD, the Ticket, 93.7 FM. In Petoskey, WMBN, 104.7 FM, 1340, the Ticket, Northern Michigan.
Heading up north this weekend. That
a baby.
I'm
I
so,
love
so
that.
ready for it.
I love that. I'll be doing that next weekend.
Love it.
In Midland, Saginaw, and Bay City, WLUN 100.9 FM, The Mitt. Glad to have them back on board. Honored to serve the great sports fans of the Tri-City area. In Traverse City, maybe you're headed up that far up north, WKD 93.7 FM, The Ticket, and in Lansing, 7:30 a.m., The Game, WVFN AM, serving the Spartans faithful in that area. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. The NFL season will begin in about, 3-4 weeks, okay? I love how everybody has predictions. That's part of what makes sports and the discussion of sports great. The Minnesota Vikings have not won the NFC North since 2022. That's when they went 13-4. They had a down year in 2023 at 7 up and 10 down. In 2024, they finished 14-3. And then last year, they were 9-8. So it's been a good, bad rotation for them in each of the last 4 years. This will be a fourth consecutive season, where they have a different starting quarterback with Kyler Murray. How good can the Vikings be? They have some solid offensive weapons. Former Lion T.J. Hawkinson. You know what? Really good tight end. I don't think he's a great blocker, but he's a really good tight end. Justin Jefferson is one of the best wide receivers. Jordan Addison's one of the best 2 wide receivers in the National Football League. They've done some things to shore up their offensive line. They are probably more well known for their defense than their offense. It's kind of like a throwback to the 70s when they had the Purple People Leaders, when they had Alan Page and Jim Marshall and Carl Eller and Gary Larson, and they had, Wally Hilgenberg and Matt Blair as linebackers and Bobby Bryant as a cornerback and Nate Wright, who gets burned by Drew Pearson, and Paul Krause, Michigan native, all-time leader in interceptions that'll never be broken. People talk about records that'll never be broken. That one won't be. You can't roll off the number of players on this Minnesota defense like you could before, back in those heydays under Bud Grant. However, that's how people view them because they have been quarterback less. Last year, few guys who were just brutal, and it showed. 2 years ago, Sam Darnold leading that team to a 14-3 record and forcing the NFL and other people who follow the league to actually think about making changes to how you set up the postseason. A 14-3 Minnesota team having to go on the road, that seemed preposterous. Couple of double-digit wins seasons in the last 4 years. Now it's Kyler Murray at the helm of their offense. Here's Jim Miller and former head coach Todd Haley on the Vikings' chances in the NFC North.
Final team need to get to is the Minnesota Vikings. And for, Kevin O'Connell, Kyler Murray, who's looking to find a home, will they reinvent him like they reinvented Sam Darnold, you would think, for Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings? And they also re-signed Carson Wentz. I would say this probably is the best defense in the NFC North. They finished third overall defensively, but offensively, that's where it went awry in 2025. They were 28th overall in the NFL offensively. And as I mentioned, a top 10 defense defensively. What are you liking about the Minnesota Vikings, who finished 9-8, third in the NFC North? Could this be a team that surprises in 2026?
Defensively, no worries. And they draft Caleb Banks out of Florida in the first round. I mean, Brian Flores, another year of teaching a lot of the same guys. The continuity there, I think, will be priceless as far as even some of the older guys that have been there and know what Brian expects. getting the younger guys on the same page or additions through free agency. So not worried about the defense. I agree with you. I think best defense in the NFC North. But offense, am I worried about receiver? No, absolutely not. I mean, Justin Jefferson, what a stud he is. Jordan Addison, what a stud he is. They add Juwan Jennings. Man, you could argue they might have the best threesome in the league at that position. Tight end, love TJ Hawkinson. Running backs, love Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. I think has been a nice addition. Similar type backs, but they can both run the football. So now and the offensive line, I'm not really worried about. I mean, I feel like they're solid up front. So it comes to quarterback. It is Kyler Murray to start. Do they ever, if he struggles, do they pull the plug? And JJ, two totally different situations. I don't think this is a Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza situation where it's all kumbaya, Jim. Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray is on a 1-year cheap deal, and he's fighting for his football life to get back to where people thought he could be. And J.J. McCarthy's the number 1 pick also that he's not going to give up easy. So I don't see these guys going to dinner every night. I feel like they're going to truly fight it out. And when we always hear the word, this is a quarterback competition, usually it's not. But in this case, I think at least early on it's going to be.
Yeah, what quarterback is going to put him in the end zone? Because Minnesota's defense was outstanding. They blitzed 46% of the time against opposition and drop back quarterbacks, so way higher than any other team in the National Football League.
Good stuff there. When you look at the Vikings, who I think most people in Detroit view as the weakest of the 4 teams in the division. Maybe I'm wrong. It
seems to be that way most of the time.
Yeah. Why is that? It's because of the trigger. All right.
Yeah,
I don't know if people are sold on Caleb Williams or Jordan Love. I know we're sold on Jared Goff, but I think many people view the Vikings as the weakest. And I thought Coach Haley brought up a great point. I mean, look at how good their defense has been, arguably the best in the division. Their wide receiver trio, we brag about ours. By adding Juwan Jennings, they've got the best trio of receivers in the division. I don't know if it's the conference because there are other teams that might have a say about that. Dallas, for example, but it has to be considered that way. It's whether or not they can get the right guy under center to get them the football more than anything else. So it's interesting. We always preach defense wins championships, don't we? Because that's what we hear all the time from coaches and players. Defense wins championships. If defense wins championships, why aren't more people on Minnesota's bandwagon?
Right. You'd think they'd go the same way then.
Why are more people looking at the Lions as a legitimate threat than the Vikings? So really good breakdown by Todd Haley and Jim Miller. Now, of course, all of us are more interested in what they have to say about the Lions. Yesterday, we heard about the Packers and the Bears. You just heard them break down the Vikings. Now it's the Lions. And, the Cade Mays injury is a big deal. It's a really big deal. The depth will be tested by this team. But I think it's legitimate to feel like this is a Super Bowl contending team. I'm not saying they're the favorite, okay? If you want to put Seattle up there because of what they did last year, you want to put the Rams because of what they were able to add with Trent McDuffie and Myles Garrett and the fact that Aaron Donald's coming back, that's fine. I'm not going to debate you on that. We can have a good discussion about it. I'm not going to debate you on it. Hell, you look at what the Lions have done. If it's a major if, because they're not established. McDuffie's established. Garrett's established. Donald's established. Detroit has brought in guys who do not have that type of pedigree, but they do have guys that you look forward to watching. I don't think any of us would trade Hassanin for Garrett, but you're encouraged by what he was able to bring, right? The depth part is something this team has been lacking. They have addressed it. Todd Haley and Jim Miller on how the Lions can get back to the top of the division. Here on
Next up, need to talk about the Detroit Lions. Many think the window has closed, Todd. I mean, with Dan Campbell and this group. They were 9-8 a season ago. They finished 4th in the NFC North. They missed the playoffs. thought he identified the right play caller in Drew Pensing. I like the straight drop back mindset he's going to have for Jared Goff, the quarterback here for the Detroit Lions. Kelvin Shepard remains as the defensive coordinator, but it's really about this offensive line. They flip Penei Sewell over to the left tackle spot, draft Blake Miller in the first round to fill that void. Have playmakers across the board. You know, Gibbs, you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you've got Laporta as a tight end. Defensively, they're looking for pass rush in the secondary, and we've talked about Terry and Arnold. I mean, that is a key player that they're going to have to fill that void defensively. Your thoughts on the 2026 Detroit Lions?
Yeah, it starts with offensive line. I mean, receiver, how can you not think they're going to be really good there with St. Brown and Jamison Williams, who continues to come on and look like a star? So I think a key signing, Cade Mays, because we know last year with the sudden retirement of Frank Ragnow, that really hurt them. So they weren't able to fill that void last year. So now they go out and they get Cade Mays. Blake Miller is going to be a key piece. I'm not worried about Penei Sewell. I don't think you are either, moving over to the left tackle. This guy's a stud. Might be the best left tackle in football at the end of this year. We'll have to see. But if Blake Miller can step in and do what they expect him to do, Jahmyr Gibbs and now you add Pacheco, two different styles completely. I like that combination. Love their tight end and Sam Laporta. So offensively, I think they're going to be fine. Defense is going to be the key. You lose Baird, you lose Arnold. Now you bring in Joseph, you bring in Brian Branch, you bring in Roger McCreary. So, how that all comes together is going to be critical. Aiden Hutchinson, I think, is going to be a year removed from the injury. I think we'll see the best from him. So if they're able to create some pass rush and help that secondary out, they got to – I don't think the window's closed. I think Jared Goff's going to do Jared Goff-like things with a lot of weapons around him.
Aiden Hutchinson was awesome last year. 14.5 sacks. Like you said, he got stronger as the year went on, but it's really the pass rush opposite him. So DJ Wonham is going to be counted on. You got to look at the young draft picks out of the University of Michigan. Derek Moore is going to have an opportunity here to find a spot to be that guy. 6'3", 255 out of Michigan. I also think this about Jimmy Rolder, the linebacker they drafted in the 4th round, also a University of Michigan Wolverine. Look at what Jack Campbell is really emerged as a defensive player. I would say Alex Anzalone. Can Rolder come in and fill in and be that Anzalone type of player? And I think it could be pretty good with a team that should be able to score a lot of points when you look at the Lions.
Yeah, Michigan has a chance to put a stamp on this Lions team in addition to the guys already there. So I know that pains you, Jim, being a Spartan. I know it pains you, but
of course it does.
And so
I give them their props, though. Absolutely, good players.
But I think I'm not. I think this team is going to be competitive right till the end.
Yeah, well, they should. They've got a veteran quarterback with Jared Goff, and it's really the key is going to be Pensing because, like I said, that was a nightmare. If you choose the wrong OC, what they did with Johnny Morton a season ago, it put Dan Campbell in a bad spot. I mean, we talked about it earlier. His job is to manage the entire team, and instead he's calling plays. He took it all over because he's going to own it. Dan Campbell makes no excuses. I love that about him as a head coach. And he became a pretty good play caller, I think, the short time he's been in Detroit when he's been forced to do it. But I think they got it right this time, obviously, with Drew Petzing and what they're going to do offensively. We've enjoyed it. For former NFL head coach Todd Haley, hey, I'm Jim Miller, former NFL quarterback. Thanks for joining us on the Michigan Sports Network.
Yeah, we appreciate that very much. Good stuff from both Jim and Todd and things that we're thinking about. And you notice that they highlighted the two offensive linemen, Cade Mays and Blake Miller, and how important they are. Obviously, Mays out because of the injury to the wrist and going to miss 8 to 10 weeks. We've talked about that before. I thought Blake Miller looked really good last night. Love his punch. Tackles are going to get beaten once in a while. All right, so I'm not gonna dwell on the one time I think he was beaten. I think
no, but
overall,
he seemed like a major positive to me. I was paying attention to him as much as I could.
Yeah, I was too. I was focused on his number and his footwork and his punch and his slide and everything else. Now, obviously, and somebody just texted us, lots of injuries since they came to camp. No question about it. Yeah. Via text, shut, blah, 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 blah. Sure, he put up the numbers until you really need them in really big games. Where has that been? If we can't blame injuries on the Tigers in May, we can't blame the offensive line.
It's interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't blame injuries because there are other teams dealing with injuries, and I thought Detroit should have the depth to be able to handle that. You can blame the offensive line if those guys aren't good enough. I'm not putting it all on them. And as far as, the big games, so against Washington, obviously the 3 picks, absolute killer, 313 yards, but the 3 picks. He's not the only one, by the way. Ben Johnson failed in that game. Others failed in that game. Fumbles, right? So it wasn't just him, but he's got to own that. San Francisco, he was pretty good. Everybody was pretty good in the first half. The second half, obviously not good enough. Tampa and the Rams, he outplayed their quarterbacks, and he was good. He was really good in those games. With the Rams, I don't know how far you want to go back, okay? The Super Bowl, when he played the Patriots in the Super Bowl, he was just a guy. I think he completed 50% of his passes for 230 yards. So what do you consider? This is always a really good debate, and I appreciate the passion from the texter. I really do. What do you consider big games?
I got to imagine he's talking about like playoffs, or maybe he's just thinking the playoffs because they haven't went far enough. But I mean, you'd think like the game that was basically for the NFC North a couple years ago, which I think he played pretty good in that game. Maybe
let me ask you
primetime
this.
games. I'm trying to think of what
I hate to be so vanilla about this, but just about every game in the NFL is a big game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
only
going to
have
get
17
at.
games. Okay, so if you don't think there was a game last year in which Detroit played against Dallas where they needed a victory, remember they finished 9-8. One more win would have given them a playoff spot over Green Bay, correct? 10-8 beats 9-7-1. Okay. So you don't think those were big games? Was the game, let me ask you this. The game against Pittsburgh, Detroit had just lost to the Rams, all right? And they're playing Pittsburgh. Do you think that was a big game? You had Pittsburgh, then you had Minnesota, and you had Chicago.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yes.
So obviously Minnesota was a big game too. The Pittsburgh game was the Pittsburgh game was big. He threw for 364 and 3 touchdowns. That's a pretty big game, I think. They didn't win,
too. Yeah.
but I think that's a pretty big game. Now, the next game against Minnesota was a big game, and he didn't play well. Nobody did, but especially him. Okay, 2 picks in that game. So I'm with you on that. But just remember, when you got 17 games, your margin for error is a hell of a lot smaller than the other 3 sports that you love. So I think you got to be very careful. 8:18, we have got the Friday 6-pack here on X's and Bros. We're glad you're with us. We're brought to you this hour by Meyer.
September 11th at Soaring Eagle, a hot night of soul.
Somebody sexy, tell them hey.
3-time Grammy winner Neo and the princess of hip hop, Keisha Cole. Tickets start at $53 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. Music that takes you there. Neo and Keisha, September 11th, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
In my pro football days, the key to winning was a great game plan. It's no different when it comes to your retirement. Hi, this is Mitch Lyons from Mitch Lyons Wealth. Is stock market turbulence making you question whether your plan is okay? Do the ups and downs of your retirement account give you the jitters? Are you protected against the next market downdraft? As you approach retirement, you're entering the retirement red zone. Like in football, the game changes in the red zone. There's less time for mistakes, and you need to see your blind spots and protect yourself. Is your retirement safe? Let's find out today. Let's create a game plan together that will protect, grow, and win retirement. You've worked hard to save what you have. Let's make sure you keep it. 30 to 40 years of saving for retirement is worth a 15-minute call to make sure you've done all that you can to protect your retirement. Call Mitch Lyons Wealth today at 844-867-8335. That's 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Investment advisory services are offered to MLW Advisory Services, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a state registered investment advisor.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church.
All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand.
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office at etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride. August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
Back with you here on X's and Bros. 18 after the hour, we will do the Friday six-pack. Come on, baby. You're ready for the weekend?
Friday. Yeah, I am.
I think a lot of people are ready for the weekend. I don't blame you. It's been a bit of a slow week. That's how I would categorize it. Welcome back. Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. The text is Sports Radio 21,000 via stream as we stream live on YouTube, X, and on Facebook. Shep, the Nuggets had a sorry defense when they won the chip. During the regular season, they did. Yep. Postseason, they had the 5th best defense of all the teams in the playoffs. I kind of look at it with the Indianapolis Colts. Just if you want to keep it, together, if you want to keep football. Colts didn't have a great defense in 2006 during the regular season. They gave up 323 yards and 23 points per game. Playoffs, they were much better. So you're able to get there with an offense. Your defense has got to take over. So much is made of Kansas City's offense, and for good reason, but their defense has been pretty damn good under Andy Reid and them getting some of those rings. So I agree with you for the most part that you can get there with let's call it an average defense. But I think it obviously depends on the sport. Like if you're looking at Pistons defense really good, that's probably what propelled them to the playoffs a year ago. When anybody has won championships, sure, the Red Wings were dazzling with the Russian 5 and some great players and so, but their defense was incredible, led by Nick Lidstrom and Chris Chelios, and then backstopped in net with Mike Vernon, Dominik Hasek, and Chris Osgood. I mean, those guys. There's a reason that Mike Vernon was named MVP of the playoffs when Detroit finally won that cup in '97. Chris Osgood should have won it over Henrik Zetterberg, my belief. But we are dazzled by offense. It's a good point by Xavier on the stream. We are dazzled by offense. And I think that's standard throughout all the sports. Do you want to see a 6-5 game where guys are going yard? What's the highlights of the game from yesterday, the Field of Dreams games between the Phillies and the Twins? Kyle Schwarber's 2 homers.
That's what everybody kept talking about was Kyle Schwarber, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool that Bryce Harper had a bat made strictly for that game with corn on it, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. I love the creativity in that regard. But that's what people are talking about. How much of them are talking about Aaron Nola and what he did? Not many, right? When you think of the Tigers, I know people like Troy Melton, and I know they like Jackson Jobe, but your primary focus when you are talking with your friends, Kevin McGonigal, Dylan Dingler, and lately Max Clark. It's offense. When you talk about the Lions, that's what you do. You talk about Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, Sam Laporta, Jared Goff. I mean, you're going to go through probably 4 or 5 names before you get to Aiden Hutchinson. Because we love the replays and the sparkling plays.
To be fair to pitchers, it was always Tarek Skubal, I feel like, with me and my friends.
Well, that's true.
When he was
that's true.
So.
Yeah, that's going to happen when it's
when he's the best pitcher on the planet. That's what people think of him.
Yeah, again, I think that's argumentative. I don't think he's the best pitcher
I think it
on the
is
planet.
this year, too. I'm not saying that. That's what everybody says.
But when he was the last 2 years, yeah, no, you're right. But let me ask you this. When you look at the Lions season from a year ago, let's just say a year ago, are you remembering what Jared Goff did and what Amon-Ra St. Brown did and what Jahmyr Gibbs did in certain games? Or are you remember the incredible season that Jack Campbell had?
I mean, you're thinking about all the offensive players before that. The only one on the defense I think that people will think about is Aiden Hutchinson. A lot of that has to do with the fact that he went to Michigan too, I think. So, because I would say if you were, I don't know this off the top of my head, and I can look it up, but like jersey sales, I would argue that Aiden Hutchinson's got to be at the top or towards the top.
I would think so. Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown right there. my point is, you can bring up what Goff did against Pittsburgh. We had just talked about that Pittsburgh game and how important it was, right? Define in football what games are more important than others. It changes as the season progresses, right? If you're 6-0 and you lose a game, is that game as important as it would be if you were 3-3 going into that game? Absolutely not. So a lot depends on the circumstance. But we talked about that Pittsburgh game. What about Jack Campbell and 16 sticks? Anybody bring that up? Hell no. No way. Absolutely not. You're not remembering that at all. You're remembering what Jared Goff did. Not that Jack Campbell had 16 tackles, 7 of them solos, and 2 of them pass defended. You're not thinking about that. It doesn't super excite you unless maybe it's 4th and 1 or 3rd and goal, where a guy's trying to go over the top and Jack Campbell rises up and drills him to shove him backwards. Then you go, oh my God, this is unbelievable, right? That's a broad brush I'm painting, but I think for the most part it's pretty dead on. All right. Minnesota Christmas Day was a big game. Well, I said that. I said it was a big game. I said the game's against Minnesota.
He did.
All I'm telling you is that there are other big games too. So, for example, why was the game against Minnesota on Christmas Day any bigger than anything else? Because they had won 5 of their previous 6 games. What made that game so big? And by the way, he threw for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm just saying. All right. He completed 68% of his passes. So if you think that's a big game, then the other texter would be wrong because he's not playing big in big games. Am I wrong there? Okay. Was the Washington game big after that? Because he threw for 320 and 3 touchdowns. Remember the same Washington team, minus Jaden Daniels, that beat you the year before when you threw 3 picks. It's into the eyes of the beholder, obviously. I think, and not to have a cop-out here, but so many of these games are big, right? You and I could argue that the games at home, you've got 8 home games for the most part. Sometimes I suppose it's 9. Detroit's got a game on in Germany this year. But 8 home games, you want to go at least 7-1. So if you start 0-1, the next 7 games are pretty big, yes? In a perfect world, you got to allow room for error, okay? But in a perfect world, you're going at least a good team, all right? A good team is going to go what? 7-1 at home, you hope? And then if you split on the road and you go 4-4, this is one of 16-game schedule, you go 4-4, how do you feel? You've got 11 wins. You feel pretty damn good, do you not?
You should.
Without a doubt. Absolutely. So they're all big games. Detroit last year went 5-3 at home. The Minnesota game is a good example. And they went 4-5 on the road. All right. The 5 wins or 2, at least 2 of the 3 losses, one of them in Minnesota, as you mentioned in the text, that's a big deal. That was a big game. But so was the next game against Washington. And the game after that against Philly, I believe. And like I said, a little bit later on against Pittsburgh. Via text. Shep made a big game because they lost the Pittsburgh game. Yeah, they lost the Pittsburgh game. We were talking about one specific player. The Minnesota game on Christmas Day was big because they lost the Pittsburgh game in which he played very, very well. The Pittsburgh game was big because they had lost the Rams game.
I think the moral of it is he's played a good and
which, by the way, he played really well against the Rams too. He threw for 338 yards.
That's what I'm saying.
Touchdowns.
He's played good in plenty of big games. He's played not as great in some of them, but I don't think a lot of people are perfect in every single one of those games. It's crazy to ask.
Yes, it is. And it's also crazy to try and define what big games mean.
This is why I say sometimes I think he's underappreciated because I feel like people complain like this all the time. But
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. All right, when we come back, no complaining about the Friday 6-pack. We have that for you. Brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort right after this.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. A series win against Cleveland has set up a big weekend of baseball for the Tigers. The White Sox are in town. The Tigers start the weekend 2.5 games behind them. The Tigers' rotation will be Joe, Melton, and Anderson. The White Sox will counter with a TBD for Friday, and then two pitchers having excellent seasons. Anthony K. Saturday, Sean Burke on Sunday. Season series is even at 3-3. The Tigers got swept in Chicago, swept the Sox in Detroit. Most of the games have been tight and low scoring. The Sox have the best offense in the American League. They hit home runs, they draw walks, and they swing and miss a lot. They're pitching middle of the pack. The Tigers will see their two best starters. The Sox traded away their closers, still have 4 solid options to handle the late innings. Tigers and White Sox, 3 games at Comerica, big crowds. With a sweep, the Tigers could be in first place by Sunday.
Pump up the points at Meijer and save money on fuel faster with M-Perks. This Friday through Sunday only, earn 4 times M-Perks points when you buy select products from Simply Drinks, Dr. Pepper, plus deposit where applicable, and Lysol brands. To pump up your points, simply enter your M-Perks ID before checkout, and your extra points will be added automatically. Look for new items every other week, turning your everyday shopping into real fuel savings. That's the good life at Meijer. Fuel reward must be claimed.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
18 after the hour. Welcome back on a six-pack Friday. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside as well. 8:35. We will dive into where the Lions fan base belief meter is. Where do you think that is? We'll get to that coming up here on X's and Bros. But first, as we do every Friday at 8:18, it is time for the Friday six-pack.
Woo! Just in the nick of beer.
I'm sure
Seems
many
to
of
always
you will
sound
be-
good to him.
It does. I think there's a lot of people who might be thinking or having the same attitude tonight.
Couldn't be me.
As you begin a weekend. Yeah, it couldn't be you. It couldn't be me. Wink, wink. All right, let's get to it. We've got 6 questions Andy brings up, and we fire them in six-pack order. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, let's get going. So, first one I got for you: if you could own a boat, jet ski, or whatever it may be on water, it could be like a kayak, canoe, I don't know, whatever. What would it be and why?
It would be. You know what? This is going to sound like an old guy. It would be a pontoon.
Oh, I love that.
Here's
it's not an old guy thing to me.
Pontoon boats are really cool.
They do everything, man.
And as much as you love the speedboats, I don't have anybody who's, water skiing anytime soon. Okay. I'm not water skiing. So what do I care?
Sure.
Right. But with a pontoon, you can have a ton of people out there
Exactly.
and enjoy yourself all day long. You don't have to impress people. Now, I would say just the opposite on the streets. Like if I had my choice, I'd have a Corvette, right? So it's a little different for me on the streets when I'm driving it every day. But I want to bring as many friends out on that pontoon boat as possible. Got a couple of friends who have really sharp pontoons. I would say the pontoon boat.
Yeah, no question about it. I rent one every year when I go up to my cottage. It's hard to keep one up there all year, how far away it is. I'm hopefully going to be on one this weekend, so I'm with you on that one. No
Big
question
money,
about it.
Big money. McDonald family has big money.
I don't know about that, but we'll see. All right, there we go. Anyway, second question. What's a place you visited that you don't want to return to? I was like, I would love to. I know you've been to enough places. I don't know, there's certain places that people have told me, like in the minor leagues, they don't want to go back to and stuff like that. I've talked to, so I'm just thinking of cities that people don't talk about, probably, or I'm not sure.
Are you talking about the United States only?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Like which city?
you could go anywhere. I don't care, but it's USA is probably the one that most people would be thinking about with this. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few places that I would prefer not to go back to in the United States. It's not that I don't. It's not that I was disappointed or can't say that I would automatically say no to a trip there, but it wouldn't be a first choice. You know what I mean? I've never been to like Mexico or Venezuela or anything like that, so I'm not sure about that. I would say I was in when I was in Germany for 3 years. Man, I just lost the city name. I saw open needles everywhere. All right, people on drugs, all kinds of nasty stuff everywhere I looked. What the hell is the name of that city? Where it's all legal over in Germany or near Germany. I forget. That's probably the least favorite. Look, there's some places I've gone. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I was walking in Seattle not too long ago, a couple of years ago. I'm seeing needles on my way to breakfast, and it's really too bad because Seattle's a beautiful city. When it's cleaned up. That's a hard one for me of where I wouldn't want to go. I'm not a huge New York fan.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I'm the same way. If I had to pick a big city, I always would go Chicago over New York. But
okay, all right. What's next?
Go through it. What's the best thing you've read in the last 5 years? So it could be, book, something like that.
Good to Great. The book Good to Great would be it.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever read it.
No, I haven't.
It's pretty deep. It's pretty intense, but it is very, very cool. It shows you how you can elevate yourself and elevate your mind. So I would say the book Good to Great. What about you?
Honestly, my dad had this book, The History of Michigan Football, was one that like had a lot of stuff from Bo Schembechler in it. Read that recently, liked that one a lot. So
do you read primarily sports books?
Yeah, that's usually how I am. I'm so on sports, dude. It's why people ask me all these questions like, what are you watching for a show right now? I'm like, it's sports usually every night. So
can I give you a book that I tell this to everybody?
Sure. Yeah. Give me it. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the book Can't Hurt Me
No.
by David Goggins?
No, I have not, but I'm writing it down right now.
Okay. Can't Hurt Me. It defies the odds. He's an amazing man. You will, it's a little bit of a sports, but you'll want to highlight it, write down notes, and give it to somebody else when you're done. I read it twice. It's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. You can get it anywhere. You know, you get your books for like $30 or whatever.
Sounds good.
It's excellent.
That's the Shep guarantee.
Yes, it is the Shep guarantee for sure.
Sounds good. All right. What's the worst date you've ever been on? I laughed when I wrote this one.
The worst date?
Yeah. Like you got to think back.
Wow. Yeah, that's got to be a long time ago. I haven't been on too many bad ones, to be honest with you. It's probably just a girl I knew for a short period of time early in college who I was stunned that from which she came. How's that?
Oh, fair enough.
Very different from where I came.
Gotcha.
So that is dating myself. That's a long time ago.
I know.
Overall, I mean, I've had pretty good experiences. I feel good about my experiences in the dating game.
I'll give you a quick one. I had one time where obviously the dating apps nowadays, because obviously before Katie, I was single for a decent amount of time, so I went in a good amount of them, and one of them I went on. The girl just did not talk like the entire time. I mean, obviously, like working the media, I can ask a lot of questions. I could not get anything out of her.
You had
and then
to pry it from them.
She left before the date ended, and I she was just like, I gotta go, like whatever. I'm like, what did I do? And then the waitress was apparently watching me the whole time. I feel like they do this stuff sometimes when they know people are on first dates. And he was like, do you need a shot? And I was like, yeah, gave me one.
Wow.
For free, off the rips. That's my worst date story.
What the hell did you never saw her again, right?
Nope. Didn't even nothing after that. That was it.
What the hell happened?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I feel like I look like in all my pictures and stuff. So I didn't think it was like anything weird or anything like that. But that was the worst one I ever had by far.
Oh my goodness. Was it a blind date?
Yeah. Well, like when it's off an app like that, you don't like know them in person. You just meet them.
You went by an app. I'm sorry. Okay.
And so sometimes that happens with those for sure.
So you have been on blind dates. Okay. Because I was on a blind date and it actually worked out so well that we started dating for a while. But anyway, okay, so that's 3. By the way, Mitch Lyons just texted me. Says, got to have you out on Lake Cadillac on my pontoon.
All right, Mitch, I need an invite to that too.
Yeah, that looks really good, except for one thing. I mean, it's a great picture. It's a better picture of his lovely wife, who's drinking a glass of wine. He's got me with a picture. He's got a bush light in his hands.
I'll be on that same train.
You're a successful guy, right? You talk. Guy played in the NFL, drives the ball 300 yards. Has a wonderful website, MitchLyonsWealth.com. Call him 866-85-STEEL. And you're drinking that? Sorry, man. Not happening. Go ahead. You're no longer at MSU for crying out loud.
All right, 5th one here. If you had to have preseason tickets to any sport, which ones would you
preseason?
Take? Yes, like you just get offered preseason every single game. So say it's the spring training, NFL. Like obviously people don't love the preseason. If you were forced to go to like one of them and have tickets to them, what would it be?
Oh my God!
I thought about this last night.
What a great question. Yeah, it can't be the NFL. It can't be the NFL. You're only getting one game here, and at home. It would probably be baseball because eventually you're going to see the starters.
I thought about that right away.
Matter,
and I've been to Lakeland before, and I know you have obviously. So for me, I was like, I just like the area so much, like the stadium, that I would do that.
Oh, the stadium, yeah, the area.
Yeah, sure, yeah, not great, but yeah,
but yeah,
I really play baseball.
It'd be baseball, yeah, just because you're seeing more starters. All right, last one,
dropping everything everywhere, trying to get it. If you won the lottery, would you hide it from everyone, or would you openly tell people?
My wife's big into this Powerball.
Yep.
Oh my God!
Everybody talks about it when they do it, right? Yeah.
Right. Well, they always talk about it, but they never play. You know,
okay.
Now, what I would do with all that money? Did you play? No, I don't play. So my wife's big into this. So I'm not. The odds are unbelievable, right? You're better luck getting struck by lightning twice than you would be winning this. What I tell people, I would first of all I'd take it in installments, and second of all, I think eventually it's going to get out. So yeah, I would tell people. I wouldn't put it out on social media, but I would tell people close to me. Would you?
I would try to keep it hidden, but yeah, just the people close to me. I wouldn't want to tell a bunch of people so that everybody knew that I had it.
But you would tell people.
Yes.
Okay. Would you take it in a lump sum or would you take it in increments?
I would probably try to take it in increments, I think.
What's the first thing you'd buy?
It's a great question. Probably one of those pontoons, to be honest, because this McDonald doesn't have that much money. But
I think what I would do is, first of all, I would pay off like my kids' lease and rent and their houses and make sure they're all debt free and make sure my kids have houses and so on and so forth. If I want to be selfish for myself, I'd buy myself a Corvette. All right, when we come back, here's what we're gonna do. What's your believe-o-meter with the Lions? We'll talk of that here on X's and Bros when we come back on a Friday morning, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church.
All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand.
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride, August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Okay, 35 after the hour. I want to make sure we get to the final results of our poll question and, of course, the daily wager as well. We will do that here momentarily. First, the believability from you as a Lions fan. And in case you missed it, Lions lost to Cincinnati last night 16-14. Luke Altmaier threw a couple of picks. One was not his fault, 130 yards, did throw for a touchdown. Jacob Saylors was the best player on offense, although Blake Miller I thought was really good. Mahogany and Frazier were not good, and neither was Tesla. On defense, Hassanin was the best player, 4 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble. Anybody else impress you defensively? Whiteside?
I liked
Whiteside.
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing really outside of that. Keith Abney, like I said, I liked his
Keith
his
Abney,
performance. I liked
Yep.
his tackles. I thought he was at least active out there, and you saw him enough, so that was good.
Okay, I buy that. Yep. Was it
Whiteside pass breakup was really impressive in the first half, though. I did like.
Yeah,
that.
I think what happens though is and I'm guilty of it too. We kind of go by names, Ahmad Hassanin we knew because of how he is. How do you feel Eric O'Neal played?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really key on Eric O'Neal a lot. So
Right, he had a couple pressures though.
Yeah. It seems good. I didn't watch him
Yeah.
every play, but
Right, you probably didn't focus on him because he's not a big name.
exactly.
So I get it, or a name that you're used to. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Anyway, Lions lost. Tigers did win. They shut out Cleveland 3-0. So good for them. They are now positioned with a half-game lead over Texas because Texas lost 7-0 to the Angels again. The Angels swept them. God, it's unreal. Anyway, Texas is a half-game back of Detroit for the wild card. The Tigers are 2.5 within reach of the division lead. Chicago lost to the Reds last night, 9-8, and Chicago's in town for a weekend series. Jackson Jobe throws, Troy Melton throws, and then Drew Anderson throws.
This has to be considered at least a big series, right? I think I don't like to overhype baseball series because of how long the season is, but I think this is a big series.
Absolutely. Here's what I would ask you. If they lost 2 of 3, and if they did that, they would be 1.5 back on Sunday, right?
Sure.
How big is it? If they were swept,
I mean, they
dropped 5.5 back. That's what I mean about, when we're kind of picking and choosing. It's a big series. I don't think it's the biggest series of the year necessarily, and it won't be the biggest series moving forward either because they're going to play more often. But would you really suggest that if they were swept and they were 5.5 back, that's insurmountable for them to come back?
No, they definitely could still do it. I would. This isn't the last time they play the White Sox this year either. Is
Right,
it?
that's what I said. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, they play them again. So I think it's a big series. I just don't think it's as crucial as this. You got to win this series. No, you don't. I mean, you want to because they've won 4 straight series.
Yeah.
You want to, but you don't have to win the series. It would be concerning if you drop 5.5 back, and I think a lot of people worry based on momentum. Oh my God, you're going the wrong direction. Maybe it's, a situation where you get in a rut and you start falling down more frequently.
Yeah, getting swept would be a
the
problem.
Dodgers.
I don't think anybody can argue that.
Agreed. 5-way tie atop the leader with the St. Jude Classic, first round of the FedEx playoffs. Jordan Spieth among the leaders. Is Jordan Spieth, is he overrated?
It's a topic that I feel like a lot of people talk about, but it feels like it's been a while since you've seen him really competing at the end of a lot of these tournaments.
He's got 3 majors. If I said to you, how many tour wins do you think he has? What would you say?
I mean, the guess would be less than 5, but I would.
Tour wins? PGA Tour wins? He's got 3 majors. You think less than 5?
Oh, that's different. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. You're right on the majors. He's 3. But if I said to you, how many PGA Tour wins does he have? What would you guess?
I'm going to guess 12.
You're close. He's got 13. He's got 16 wins overall, but he's got 13. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, he's been at it longer than Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler's got 20 PGA Tour wins. He's got 25 professional wins. Okay. And he's got 4 majors. Right?
Yeah,
he's won the Masters twice. So he's got the PGA and he's got the Open Championship.
I
finished second in
hinting at my daily wager in a bit here. It's like I was looking through the golf stuff, and it's just with Scotty Scheffler, he's not even like at the top right now, and he's still minus 650 to finish in the top 20 this weekend. It's just
he's 2 under. That's because he's had 17 consecutive rounds of
exactly
under par golf and FedEx playoff games or FedEx playoff rounds. So, what about Justin Thomas?
It's another one. Like we were talking about this earlier, obviously a little bit. To me, it's always like Spieth and Thomas just kind of blend together for me a little bit. I always feel like they're apart. They kind of came out at the same time and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Overrated. I don't know. It seems like he plays well and like I remember in the Ryder Cup he had some pretty good moments and stuff. But
he's got 2 majors. Okay, both of them are PGAs. Do you think he has more or fewer professional wins and PGA Tour wins than Jordan Spieth?
I think I'll go fewer.
He's got more.
More, okay.
So he has 2 more pro wins, and he has 3 more PGA Tour wins than Jordan Spieth. But I feel like Jordan Spieth gets more love. Maybe I'm wrong there.
That's a really interesting. I feel like people could really go back and forth on that if they're overrated or not.
Yeah, I think some people.
People like people like golf players, right? You fall in love with the golf player, yeah. So
there you go.
That's the thing.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, people like them, so I think they're accessible, they're very amenable, and all that other stuff. All right, let me get to this. The belief meter with the Detroit Lions. Fans believing in this team or not. CBS Sports came out with this last week, I think, or maybe it was earlier this week. Whatever. The least or most optimistic fans. Now, I would guess the Jets are the least, all right? People in Cleveland don't have a lot of faith in their team either, and you can understand why. Of the 32 teams in the National Football League and the fan base for expectations and what they think their team can accomplish, where do you think Detroit ranks according to this website? Which isn't gospel by any stretch, but still, it gives you an idea of what the national writers are thinking about
the belief,
the local team. Yeah.
Okay. I would say I don't even know if they're in the top 10. I don't know if fans do believe. I feel like I've gotten a lot of mixed reviews on that, at least from people I talk to. So I'm gonna go like 13th.
That's exactly right. They're
wow.
right.
I promise you,
right at 13. Here's what they write. Lions fans are cautiously optimistic that their team can bounce back after missing the postseason for the first time since 2022. Detroit, however, is already facing some daunting challenges from an injury standpoint. Okay. Personally, we'll probably dive into this closer to opening day kickoff against New Orleans. But it will be interesting how people feel like what they need to go, what record they need to accomplish before Cade Mays comes back for them to have a legitimate chance at winning the division. So if he's going to miss 5 games, 5 regular season games, because the 6th one is a bye week, right? And then you've got the 4-week run up. So maybe it's about 10 weeks or so. Worst case scenario, let's hope. If people are feeling like, okay, they have to go this against New Orleans, Buffalo, the Jets, Panthers, Cardinals, and Packers. And that Packers game is at home for what it's worth. All right. And who knows if Michael Parsons is going to be back. When you look at that schedule right there, and we always feel like the home team is a little bit more apt to be victorious, right? Which for some, just because of the noise factor, I suppose. But I think a lot of people would expect them to go about 4-2 at the worst.
I definitely think that's what it is. I feel like that's I feel like the schedule is what people have played that with the whole time, is that it's going to be in favor of them. So I would definitely guess 4-2.
Yeah, I think most people think, okay, you should beat the Saints,
right?
You should beat the Jets. You should beat the Cardinals. You should beat the Panthers.
Which, like with your prediction with the Saints
last year,
I do think that's going to be an interesting opening game.
Yep,
yeah, I think so for sure.
Yeah, but we have this entrenched in our brains that, well, Buffalo's a good team because they got a former MVP, they got a really good running back, they got excellent tight ends, they've got a standout couple of receivers, And it's history, right? What have they done recently? They've been very good. Green Bay, same thing, right? But the history of Arizona, not so good. The history of the Jets, not so good. The history of the Saints, not so good. I'm talking about recent history. Saints have won a Super Bowl. Lions never have, right? Cardinals have been there. Lions never have. Jets have won a Super Bowl. Lions never have. So all that stuff, we get it. Anyway, interesting to get people's belief factor there. So you're right. They are 13. Here are the teams above them, which I find interesting, especially when you look at our division. Packers at 12. Ravens at 11. Bears at 10. Patriots and Chargers tied for 8th. At 7, San Francisco. 6, Buffalo. 5, Denver. 4, Philadelphia. Seattle, the Rams, 2. And that leaves who left? Who has the most belief in their team, according to CBS Sports? Kansas City.
I mean, I could see that, I guess.
Can you? After 6-11 last
I
year?
don't think that. No, not for me. I could just see why their fans believe, I guess, because of how many they've won recently, but still. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have a lot of faith in Patrick Mahomes, and rightfully so.
I don't know, man. You put a team like Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald, Trent McDuffie. I'm a big believer.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't. I think everybody else in the country believes that too. But
yeah, I would agree with that.
the Broncos are interesting, man. People are just really.
I think that's the one team people think are going to take a step back.
As I'm saying, I just don't see it as much with them as a lot of other people do. It feels like.
Why is that?
I don't love their offense. I'm not huge on Bo Nix. I don't think they have a receiver that stands out to me. I understand Cortland Sutton's a good player, but I don't know. I just don't see what their offense. I understand their defense is great, but it feels like it did suck that Bo Nix got hurt when he got hurt last year. Because I wish I could have seen him finish that season out. But
they did have the best defense in football last year.
Yep, very impressive. I mean, Houston's right there too, but
yeah. But if you feel, I mean, they went 14-3 for crying out loud. If you feel like defense wins championships, I'm not putting words in your mouth. But if you feel like defense wins championships, how are you not at least smitten a little bit?
No, they still competed in the playoff game. By the way,
they also picked up Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of important.
That's a big deal too. Yeah,
Right. I think Evan Ingram's a really good tight end.
They have one of the best. Like they have an honest home field advantage there. That's, I mean, truthfully.
But Andy, remember what we said yesterday? What did we say? We did the offensive line based on Pro Football Focus for what that's worth.
Sure.
Where did their offensive line rank?
Trying to remember them specifically.
Number 1.
Stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Number 1. So you're not a believer in Bo Nix. I get it. All right. I mean, he was good enough to help him win 14 games, which is interesting. It's kind of like the Sam Darnold belief from the year before. They had the number 1 offensive line in football and the number 1 defense. What are you worried about? Why wouldn't you believe?
That's fair. I mean, that's a fair point. Maybe I should more. I don't know. It's just, I guess I just need to see him get that far. I don't know. I really don't know what it is.
Okay. Yeah. No problem.
I don't have a good reason for it.
I'm not trying to convince you. I'm asking the question out loud. Bo Nix threw for almost 4,000 yards, 25 scores, and 11 picks. I think when people look at Denver, that's like one of the few teams where they don't look at the quarterback right away. They look at other players as being better at their position.
Yeah,
than the quarterback.
for sure. No question about it.
Let's get to the final results of our poll question, shall we? Yesterday, we asked you this. We've been kind of baseball heavy lately. I think you can understand why. But yesterday, we asked you about the Lions. Which Lions player will you have your eye on in the preseason opener? Blake Miller, Seth McLaughlin, Ahmad Hassanin, or Nick Whiteside? The interesting thing about this is that Miller was really good. Hassanin was really good. Whiteside was really good. McLaughlin I did not recognize, which can be a good thing If you're an offensive lineman and you're going unnoticed, that's a good thing. Anyway, what were the final results?
It was really, really close. Offensive tackle Blake Miller, 33%. McLaughlin got 29%. And Ahmed Hassan got 33%. So people were definitely paying attention to him. Nick Whiteside only got 5%.
I'm a little bit more surprised. I thought for sure everybody would be all over Blake Miller.
Same, just because it's top pick. So
well, also because it's the tackle position. It's
huge.
The offensive line was so bad for them a year ago. All right, how'd you do on the daily wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort?
It's been a tough week for me. 1-3 here. I did not get my pick inside of the top 20. Trying to find where he ended up at here. I think it was around 37th. Anyway, didn't happen. But I'm gonna go back to golf today. I'm gonna go with Victor Hovland to finish inside the top 20. He's at -2 right now, so he's tied for 17th. When he started good recently in tournaments, which was the Scottish Open and the Canadian Open, he finished 3rd in the Canadian Open and 13th in the Scottish Open. So I'm guessing that he can, because he's gotten off to a hot start, he can carry it and be a top 20 player this weekend.
Okay, we'll take a look at Victor Hovland for sure. Via the stream, 100% the biggest series of the year. Job against a bullpen game, Melton pitching. Both those are the first 2 games that these guys have started. You have to be able to win to be a playoff team. Okay, I respect that. I do. I respect the opinion. I would ask you, do you? Maybe they're saying up until now. I thought the series against Cleveland was pretty big. Winning 2 out of 3 against Cleveland. I thought going out west, going 7-2 was pretty important.
I think the road trip was the most impressive thing for me out west.
Right. Just a reminder that you do get Chicago later this season in the middle of September. You also get Cleveland for 4 games in Cleveland in early September. And by the way, Minnesota, who's in the mix, you get them on the road at the end of this month and early September. Tampa comes calling. That's the thing about baseball. And
it's going to be some big series.
I think it's the really hard one is that, a huge series.
We don't have a lot of time, but
like
I was getting this, or somebody said this to me the other day, and you being somebody that was in the locker room a lot in the past, I just wonder what your take would be on it. That Tarek Skubal obviously got traded, before that trip, or actually maybe when they were out west, whatever, it was close to that time. Do you think that they're playing somewhat better right now because that's not getting mentioned every single day in their locker room and every time they open their phone? And
I think something like that does weigh on a team.
I think so too.
Yep.
So
I do. I'm not saying that's the reason, but I do think it weighs on a team. You get tired of answering those questions. You almost don't want to be in the clubhouse. And guess what? Red Wings are going to have to go through that pretty soon too.
Yeah.
Okay. Pistons will have to go through that with Jalen Duren. There's a reason they call it a distraction. Thank you for the distraction that you provided us all day long. We always appreciate it, whether you're watching on the stream or you're calling us or you're texting us. We always enjoy the conversation. Have a great weekend. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3:00. We're back with you on Monday morning, 6:00 on X's and Bros.
In my pro football days, the key to winning was a great game plan. It's no different when it comes to your retirement. Hi, this is Mitch Lyons from Mitch Lyons Wealth. Is stock market turbulence making you question whether your plan is okay? Do the ups and downs of your retirement